today's video, I want to show you how we went from this to this. Now, vinyl decals are actually a little bit more complicated than you would think, and we learned a lot in this process. We definitely did some things right and some things wrong. So today I want to share with you what we learned.
The gray Tundra was the first Tundra I built and really was the beginning of this YouTube channel. And one day I decided to stick these stripes on it. And I got flooded with hundreds of questions from all over the United States on how I did that, where I got them. Then we bought this white Tundra, the long travel kit on it. We've since rebuilt pretty much the whole entire thing. And I felt like it was finally time to dress this build up a little bit. And I know that as soon as these videos go out, I'm going to get tons of questions on how did we do that? Where did we get our stuff? And all of those things. In the process of building out both these vehicles, I have learned a little bit about vinyl decals, and there's things that I learned the hard way. Definitely I made mistakes, and then there's things that have went really well. So I want to share with you guys today, A, how did we get this done? B, how you could get it done for a lot cheaper.
So educational videos like this one take a ton of time and money to make, and they don't actually make any money. So thankfully we have channel sponsors like Fanttik. I did a thing of them a couple weeks ago, and it was on this battery pack air compressor that they sent me. I've actually used this 3 times this week because I have a dump trailer and I've got a tire on it that is very flat. So I have to air it up every time I use it. This thing's coming super clutch for that. But that's not even what we're talking about today. Today, they actually sent me one of their new products. So this is a detail vacuum for your car. It's a little more than that because it also has a blower on it. So you can use it to blow up a mattress if you really wanted to. But for the most part, what I've been using it for is they sent it with all these attachments. And yes, it's a vacuum. It has built-in HEPA filters. They even give you a spare filter. It's as easy as opening the front up here. That's how you empty it. But my truck gets gross from all these trips, and the dust is the thing that really kills. I've never had anything like this that could get into all the small crevices, especially right on the control panel where all my buttons and my gear shifter are and everything like that. That just gets nasty in the little cracks. So you've got a blower on the backside. You can just turn it on, hit the power button, then you have like a turbo mode. It's actually very powerful. But yeah, so you have these little blowers you can put in here, and they even send little brushes, which I thought was awesome because you can actually brush through, clean out all those little cracks. Once you get all the gunk out, you flip it around, you use the vacuum. They even give you a lot of different attachments for the vacuum. You know, this one's actually specifically for getting dog hair out. They have the ones for getting into the small cracks. They have the ones for brushing at all the dust that's in the cracks, especially like where your air vents are and everything like that. I've never really been very good at cleaning that stuff. So finally using this seems to be working a lot better. These guys are awesome. They've stepped up now 2 different times with 2 different devices. They're smart enough to send me devices that are related to actual car care. That pump has saved me not countless times, that's an exaggeration, but it saved me quite a few times already. So yes, Fanttik, thank you for sponsoring these educational videos. Let's get back to vinyl. Okay, so a 90-second history lesson. A lot of old vintage Toyota pickups used to come with stripes. They had them in all different color schemes. A lot of them was more brown. But this particular color scheme, the red, orange, and yellow that you see on a lot of Toyotas, is from Toyota's racing team back in the day. And they have one of the most famous racers of all that raced for them. And it was a guy named Ivan Stewart, or Ivan Iron Man Stewart. And he has the craziest story ever because the first time he ever got to drive in a race, he was technically supposed to be the navigator. Usually you have a driver in an off-road race and a navigator. It's because you're going so fast, you usually pre-run the racetrack and you have all your notes written down so you don't end up flying off the road or hitting a bump and rolling. So he was supposed to be the navigator calling out directions to the driver, and it was a 300, so it was a 300-mile race about. So he hopped in the car, he was supposed to navigate. The driver broke his leg, so Ivan decided he'd just jump in the car and drive with no navigator, and he won the race. He's won more than 84 different races. He's won the Baja 1000 3 times. He's one of the few drivers ever to win the Baja 1000 where he drives it solo. Now, it might not sound The Baja 1000 is anywhere from around 700 miles to 1,300 miles long. Every single year they change the route. Right now, when you race the Baja 1000, you usually have anywhere from 2 to 3 different drivers that take turns because the race is so grueling and takes so long. He just ran the thing solo and won the whole thing. So those colors were what was on his race cars. So these are kind of like the Ivan Stewart OG Toyota race colors. So I've always been a big fan of his. I even hid their colors in my logo. So this little sunset design here with the yellow, red, and orange, that was on purpose as a little tribute to Ivan Stewart. Okay, so whether you want Toyota vintage race stripes on your vehicle or you want a completely different style of vinyl to dress up your vehicle or to protect your vehicle, there's a few tricks that I've learned to making this more affordable. The number one trick right off the bat is if you're trying to be super affordable, be very careful. We've done the wrap a vehicle using Amazon vinyl. Now, I'm sure there's vinyl on Amazon that's good quality, and I'm sure there's stuff that's bad. We wrapped a guide truck down in Mexico, and within a year, it was already cracking and peeling and had bubbles in it. Some of that might have been the wrap job, although that was a supposedly professional shop that did it. But a lot of it's just the vinyl is really cheap. And if you use the wrong vinyl, it cracks and has all kinds of problems. So be careful when you're shopping for your vinyl. Whether you're gonna wrap your vehicle or you're just doing decals, you want to actually spend the money on the vinyl. It's not the most expensive thing. A lot of times labor and design fees are more expensive. So if you're gonna go cheap on something, don't go cheap on vinyl. I'll show you what it does when you have cheap vinyl and it sits in the sun too long. Two of the places, just so you guys know, the places on your vehicle that will have the most wear and tear if you use vinyl is gonna be on top of your hood because of all the heat from your engine, and then on top of your roof. I had a black patch on the top of my hood that had completely dried out and was awful. It took multiple hours just to get the tiny little patch. Here, I'll show you. I had a patch that was just covering this exact same spot. It took multiple hours just to get that off because it had become so dried and crispy. Even with a heat gun and different stuff, it just simply would not come off. So that was a nightmare. So you need really good quality vinyl in the hot spots of your vehicle. And then you also, a lot of times, will have to change this vinyl out more often than vinyl on the side of your vehicle. So here's the roof. We haven't taken this vinyl off yet because this is going to be such a nightmare to get this stuff off that I don't know. I just may leave it up here forever. But you can just see it just sat in the sun, it bakes, it cracks, and it is completely destroyed. And at this point, if you try to peel it off, every single one of those cracks, it just rips. So I think they're gonna have to figure out some type of chemical solvent or something to get this off. But this is also just, again, part of it is it's just a product of being very cheap vinyl in the first place. So rotate your vinyl in the hot spots more often. Make sure you use good quality vinyl or you could have the situation that I have. Let's talk about design fees. So design fees is the other thing that will cost you a fortune. Now, a lot of people just think wow, these places are ripping me off. I went in and I just said I wanted custom stripes on my vehicle, and they told me it was gonna cost $2,200. Well, the thing you gotta remember is every vehicle has different design lines. So this Tundra has a design line here. You have these fender lines. You have a line that runs across the middle of your door. So when you are going to put decals on that, you think in your head, hey, we're just gonna put a simple straight stripe down the side of the vehicle. Well, if you don't account for those design lines, these things start to look wavy and they start to look like somebody installed it wrong and it just looks bad. So a good shop that makes decals is going to know that, and you have to work around the design lines on your vehicle. So a lot of them will have a 3D scan of different types of vehicles that they work with ahead of time, and then they have to pull it up in their software, and then they have to play around with your idea and figure out a way to make it go on well. That costs money because those people generally have degrees in graphic design, and they're probably billing at $100 to $150 an hour. And you think like it shouldn't take that long. Well, it takes a couple hours to work it out, do some tests, takes a couple more hours. All of a sudden you're at like $1,000 in design fees and you don't even have anything on your car yet. So the trick that I learned with design fees is go search the internet for companies that make decals specifically for your brand of vehicle. Like locally in Idaho, I love working with local shops. So locally in Idaho, there's one called Taco Vinyl that works specifically with a lot of Toyotas. I own a lot of Toyotas. So they already had like the 3D scan of like a Tundra and a Tacoma and a lot of different models. So if you wanted to whip up a custom design, they didn't generally have to start from scratch. That would save you a lot of money. And then a lot of times they'll have a sticker pack like this where like they already have it pre-made where you can just order it on the site and you don't have any design fees at all as long as you're ordering it for the correct make and model. So for example, they didn't have a vintage decal kit like this. So when we went in and designed this one, I actually have flared fenders that are not the factory ones. So they had to do the full custom design process. That gets expensive. But once they did it, they went ahead and made this exact same sticker pack or decal pack for normal Tundras. And they're selling it on the site and they aren't charging you any design fee for it. So it's like they have this whole kit online for like $5.99 now where you can just order it, they'll mail it to you. You can put it on yourself or you could take it to a local wrap shop and they'll probably charge you about $200 to $400 to do the install. So you get, you know, I worked with them. They paid some of the design costs. I paid some of the design costs, but now you can order it and you don't have to get any design cost, right? That's the way to do it. So whether you own a Jeep, a Ford, whatever you're driving, go find shops that specialize in decals for your particular vehicle. They've probably already invested the money into turning it into actual kits. And then the kit is way cheaper than just going in and getting custom graphics. I hope that makes sense. Moving on, because I don't want to bore you guys, a couple other tricks that we learned in the process. Like installing this, it's not that hard. You have to be extremely patient and go really, really slow. I still, honestly, if I was going to pay $5.99 for a whole decal pack, I still don't think I'm brave enough to do it myself. If I care a lot about how it looks. Because like if it's going on my rock crawler, I would definitely do it myself. I've done stickers and vinyl on there already. But if it's going on a car that I actually kind of care how it looks a lot, those installers are really good. Some of these lines, like this sticker would be easy to put on. It's small, you just peel off the backing and put it on, right? But then when you get into these other ones like this, where it has like this super skinny piece that runs along here, it can get hard to keep a lot of this stuff straight. But if you are gonna do it, before you get started, you're gonna wanna tape, before you do any peeling of the backing of any of this, you're gonna tape the whole thing up in place. Make sure you have it, your whole entire plan, you know where everything's going. Use tape to tape the whole sticker up there. And then you start on one side and peel and you work your way back very, very slowly. Have a heat gun. Those can help when you mess up a little bit. So installing it yourself is definitely an option. Look, if you can avoid the design fees and order an already produced kit, something like this, and you're confident that you can install it yourself, by the end of that, you've paid literally a third to even a quarter of what most people are gonna pay if they just drive up to a wrap shop and ask somebody to do this to their vehicle. So that is a great way to save a ton of money. Couple other quick tips. I do not like glossy vinyl. This is matte finish. You'll see, like, you can tell, see how this paint is reflecting the lights above us? This isn't reflective. The matte finish, you're gonna pinstripe your car if it's an off-road vehicle. This thing's completely pinstriped to death, actually. When you pinstripe your stickers, if you have that super glossy finish, it definitely shows up on them a lot. Whereas if you have this matte finish, you don't really notice it very much. So I really like the matte finish. I think that that is definitely the way to go for long-term durability. If you do ever get like a stick that goes in and like actually stabs a hole in your vinyl, you can use a heat gun. They kind of call this stuff like almost self-healing if you have good, like thick vinyl. The heat gun will help smooth it out and make the hole as minimal as possible. You'll usually have to work with it, like with a little credit card and stuff, but you can use a heat gun to clean up deep scratches in your vinyl. It doesn't make it go away 100%, but you'd be surprised at how much better it can look. So that's one cool little trick. Another fun trick with vinyl is these rocker panels. So you can see how my rocker panel down here is black. A lot of people put vinyl, thick vinyl, on their rocker panel, obviously to protect it. So, because this tire sticks out a little bit, clearly it's throwing mud up here, and they don't want it to chip. Now, that's awesome, great use of vinyl for protection. Also, if you're just doing a solid black stripe down here with no printing or anything, that's a very, very cheap piece of vinyl that you can get to do that. That wouldn't be expensive even with good quality vinyl. But the other ultimate trick with the black rocker panel is there's something that it does visually to your vehicle. When your vehicle's off-roading and just moving in video, it makes it look like your truck is higher off the ground. So it kind of makes your truck look more beefy because it kind of ties the blackness of your wheels and your wheel wells straight into the rocker panel, and your eye just visually thinks of your car starting where the white starts and going up. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you go side by side with black rocker panels and not black rocker panels, your truck looks beefier and more like an off-road truck with those black rocker panels. So it's a fantastic cheat code that also happens to protect your vehicle. So I'm a big fan of the black rocker panel. Just understand that vinyl has come a long ways. So these guys are printing this stuff out a lot of times, the colors and stuff. So you can do a lot of cool things. If I show you like the little hood one, you know, this I believe started out as a black piece of vinyl, and this is printed on here. So you can do your own topography of your favorite trail and all kinds of cool stuff. Obviously that's gonna add cost. Obviously you're gonna have to pay a little bit with the designer to do that. But just realize you can do a lot of different interesting stuff nowadays. I mean, that's what this is. This is black vinyl with printing on it. So it's not like 2 layers of vinyl. So you can really get creative. Just know the more creative you get and the more custom you get working with a shop, obviously you're gonna start paying a lot of fees that have nothing to do with, you know, just the quality of the vinyl. So I hope that helps. There is a never-ending amount of creativity you can do this. In fact, while I'm showing you this, I'll show you several colors of this kit that exists already for the Tundra online. They already have it out in like 12 different colors. So there's a ton of options out there. Try to save yourself the design fees, spend the money on quality vinyl, and have fun. Go make a cool vehicle. In my case, I make a tribute to Toyota's racing team. Maybe you want to make a tribute to your grandfather who got you into off-roading or something like that. There's a million fun things to do with vinyl. Just don't spend a fortune on it because you got to save that money to get out and go camping.